The concepts of creation, purpose, and self-mastery have been central to human philosophy, spirituality, and personal development for millennia. Among the many practices that facilitate self-mastery, semen retention stands out as a powerful tool for harnessing energy, enhancing focus, and unlocking one's full potential. This ancient practice, rooted in various spiritual and cultural traditions, is gaining renewed attention in modern times as men seek deeper meaning, discipline, and vitality in their lives. In every man burns a fire, not a literal flame, but a primal force that fuels his life, his creative potential, his ability to conquer, build, and ascend. This force is sexual energy. It is life force itself, wrapped in raw instinct and divine power. But in the modern world, this energy is often wasted, dissipated, or misused. The man who learns to retain, transmute, and master this force becomes a creator of destiny. He lives with purpose. He becomes his own master. Semen retention is not just a practice. It is a philosophy of restraint, discipline, and transformation. When a man chooses to conserve his seed, he is choosing to conserve energy, clarity, focus, and power. This act of sacred conservation becomes a foundation for creation, fuels a pursuit of purpose, and forges a path to self-mastery. The power of life within you, the sexual energy that produces semen, is the most potent form of energy a man possesses. From it, life is created. But beyond biological reproduction, this energy is also spiritual and creative. It is what fuels innovation, vision, and artistry. History's greatest creators, philosophers, warriors, mystics, and inventors, often practice celibacy or sexual restraint to preserve and redirect this sacred power. When you practice semen retention, you are no longer depleting this creative reservoir. You begin to store and circulate it. As a result, your thoughts sharpen, your desires intensify, and your capacity to manifest increases. You are no longer leaking energy through lust. You are channeling it into creation. Lust scatters your focus. One moment, you're thinking of goals. The next, you're watching porn, chasing meaningless dopamine. But when lust is mastered, not suppressed, but transformed, you reclaim your imagination. The same energy that once went into fantasies now builds your vision. It paints your future. You begin to see ideas more vividly and pursue them with ferocity. A man on semen retention becomes visionary. He becomes a sculptor of dreams. He moves from being a consumer of images to a creator of reality. Napoleon Hill, in Think and Grow Rich, wrote about sexual transmutation, the process of redirecting sexual energy into non-sexual outlets like business, art, and ambition. He noticed that men who achieved greatness often did so by turning sexual intensity into creative output. This is not a coincidence. Sexual energy is fuel, and semen retention builds pressure in that fuel tank. The retained energy must go somewhere. If you do not have a purpose or project, it may turn into aggression, restlessness, or despair. But with purpose and creativity, that pressure becomes propulsion. You begin to speak with more power, create with more depth, and live with more fire. Semen retention sharpens intuition. It clears mental fog and reawakens the soul. When a man abstains from draining his essence, he begins to hear a quieter voice inside, his inner compass. It starts with a restlessness, an urge to do more, be more, serve more. It is your purpose calling. Every man was born with a unique mission, but that mission is often buried under layers of conditioning, distraction, and wasted energy. Porn, casual sex, and constant stimulation mute the whisper of purpose. But when you retain, that whisper becomes a roar. Semen retention aligns you with your true north. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, and think differently. Your actions begin to reflect your soul. Purpose requires sacrifice. No man fulfills his purpose without sacrifice. Greatness demands focus, and focus demands energy. When you release without intention, you are sacrificing your energy on the altar of pleasure. But when you retain, you make a sacred sacrifice of comfort for clarity. You stop asking, what feels good, and start asking, what am I here to do? You move from temporary pleasure to eternal purpose. Purpose is demanding. It wants your attention. It wants your blood, sweat, and spirit. But most importantly, it wants your energy. A man practicing semen retention says, I am willing to rise. I am willing to give my energy to something bigger than me. Purpose gives life meaning. Without it, life becomes a cycle of distraction and numbness. But with purpose, each day becomes a battlefield. You rise like a warrior, knowing what must be done. You feel that what you do matters because it is tied to something bigger than you. Semen retention helps you stay locked into that direction. You are no longer tossed by lust or emotional instability. You are rooted in a deeper rhythm. You become consistent, committed, and courageous. You begin to love challenge because challenge means growth, and growth means you're getting closer to your mission. Self-mastery begins where impulse ends. A man who cannot control his urges is a slave to them. Semen retention is a daily battle between the animal and the divine within you. Every time you choose a hold, to channel, to rise, you are telling your lower self, "You do not control me." This battle, repeated over weeks and months, transforms your brain, your body, and your spirit. You build a new default, a state of strength. You become a master of your body and emotions. Discipline is forged in discomfort. When you fight the urge to release, you feel discomfort, agitation, even pain. But that pain is fuel. It is the crucible of self-mastery. The man who chooses a fire willingly becomes forged by it. On semen retention, you carry energy like a sword and shield. You feel more grounded. Your eyes have depth. Your posture changes. You become magnetic, not because you try, but because you are full. You are no longer emptying yourself to the void of lust. This energy becomes your armor against laziness, fear, and doubt. When others are tired, you are rising. When others are chasing pleasure, you are building legacy. When others are lost in their urges, you are becoming a king. You no longer need validation. You validate yourself. You are no longer thirsty. You are overflowing. One of the most underrated benefits of semen retention is emotional regulation. Porn and ejaculation spike and crash dopamine, causing mood swings, anxiety, and depression. When you retain, your dopamine stabilizes. Your mind clears. Your thoughts slow down. You can respond instead of react. A man who retains is no longer easily manipulated. He doesn't chase, overthink, or beg. He moves with clarity, speaks with authority, and listens with depth. His emotional state is rooted in self-control, not external chaos. This clarity gives you the ability to master your mind. You observe your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. You build habits that align with your goals. You begin to act from intention, not instinct. Semen retention is not a shortcut. It is not a trick to become alpha or attract women. It is a path of transformation. It is a foundation of masculine evolution, a commitment to channeling the divine energy within you toward creation, purpose, and mastery. Through retention, you become a creator, not just a consumer. You live with purpose, not distraction. You gain self-mastery, not enslavement to urges. You start to see your life as a sacred mission. Every day becomes a training ground. Every choice is a brick in the temple of your legacy. You no longer settle for mediocrity. You burn with the fire of direction, discipline, and destiny. The world needs men who are full of power, not drained by pleasure. Men who create, serve, and lead. Men who have remembered their purpose and mastered themselves. Semen retention is not about suppression. It's about transcendence. Not about denying life, but creating it. Not about fear, but about fullness. And not about control for ego, but for legacy. You are the architect. Your seed is your sacred blueprint. Retain it, channel it, master it, and build the life you were born to live. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and share this unique video with your brothers. If you want to join our community at Telegram, please click on the link below. Semen retention is not about suppression. It's about transcendence.